The information you are about to view, hear, or read on any portion of this virtual electronic medium over the next plus or minus 2 hours is not intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease, but is solely intended for educational purposes only. None of the individuals, ministries, and/or entities being seen, heard, or represented during the course of this broadcast, either now or in any archive format in the future, including but not limited to DVD, YouTube, Vimeo, teleconference, or any similar or related media outlets, will receive financial gain or residual compensation from this series. In addition, none of the aforementioned said parties herein are licensed medical doctors, physicians, practitioners, or health professionals, nor do they claim to be. None of the treatments, modalities, suggestions, recommendations, or statements made by aforementioned said parties herein have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, the American Medical Association, or the Center for Disease Control. We cannot provide you with medical advice, potential drug reactions, or assistance with questions relating to illnesses. We advise you to consult your city, county, state, or federally licensed medical doctor, physician, practitioner, or health professional if you have any questions or concerns before making any modifications in regards to any past, present, or future prescribed medications.
Okay, so what I've got is kale. We're actually making 1.5 recipes, and it's really hard sometimes to know, but it's basically a bunch, or a big good sized bunch of kale, and we have just taken off the stems, and so we are just going to shred this up, because kale raw It's a lot of chewing, if you haven't noticed. So if you dehydrate it, or if you do it real small like we're going to do, it's a whole lot easier to eat. And raw kale is good for you too. And we don't have Brussels sprouts today, so we are going to just use a little bit of cabbage. As you know, Brussels sprouts and cabbage are in the same family. It gives it a contrast of color. This salad, the original recipe was only kale, and we just kind of modified it, because you will see it's a very pretty salad. So I'm going to put this here, and this will just take a few minutes to put it all down, and you'll see we'll make it nice and small here. We'll show you several ways to eat kale. Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. This goes down really. Just amazing how much greens just go down, really. See, if I may have filled it too full, but we'll see if it'll start going down. And we are making this today, but you're going to have it for lunch tomorrow. Because the flavors really blend nicely when it sits. And so it doesn't hurt to eat it the same day, but it will just be more blended if you wait a couple hours or overnight. This may remind you of your green drinks, huh?
So the kale doesn't oxidize?
Not really, not like apples and other things.
What's the machine called? Not a blender.
This is a Cuisinart or a KitchenAid food processor. Yeah, had this whole bowl and it's going down to that little bit. Come on, finish that. Yeah, greens really, when you do it like this, or you cook them down, it looks like you've got a lot, and then you go down to nothing. Have any of you tried any kale salad recipes? Anybody have? Because you can also, there's other recipes that have avocado in them, and that's a nice addition to the kale as well. But if you don't grind it like this, then it's better the younger the kale you can get. You know, if it's too big, it's really tough. Mm-hmm. But if you're not going to grind it, then you just really need to massage it, and that will soften it up so it's easier to chew. And you will see, we like the cabbage because it just, with these different colors in there, it just makes it really look pretty. And so then we'll add some cauliflower. And as you see in the recipe, it says a half a pound and things like that. I don't have a scale in my kitchen, and so we're just kind of, Cynthia and I both are kind of dump cooks, so that's why you're watching. And this was a half a head of cauliflower, though. That's what this is. This doesn't take
There's
long.
no wrong. There's no possible wrong. You know, if you have just the vegetables in there, right?
Yeah, it's all raw. It's all raw.
No, she said no possible wrong.
Yeah,
W-R-O-N-G.
yeah. It's not possible to do it wrong.
No, no, exactly. It's just a bunch of different
Vegetables.
vegetables, and if it's a little bit of more of one thing than another, it's not going to make any difference, really. So, yeah, so here is our, and then next on the list is lemon juice, probably. Is it, somebody wants to read the recipe for me, the kale salad?
1/4 cup fresh lemon juice.
Okay, so I'm doing 1.5, so I did 1/3 of a cup fresh lemon juice. And then we have,
1/2 cup red onion.
okay, so I did 3/4, I just cut them up small.
1 small clove.
Oh, my garlic. I will have to put that in later because I forgot to bring that out. We'll put a little garlic in there. And what else?
1/3 cup nuts.
Okay, and so I've got some chopped walnuts here.
And 1 cup of dried cherries or pomegranate.
Or raisins or dates. But we have the pomegranates. They look very beautiful and they taste very good and they're good for you. So these are fresh pomegranates.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I think most of you have seen a pomegranate. You just have to kind of knock it around until you get it out. So, okay, and then
1 teaspoon salt.
1 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And so I'm going to do 1.5 since I'm doing half the rest, 1.5 recipes.
And 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast.
Okay. Do you all know what nutritional yeast flakes are? It's a good source of vitamin B12. Oh, thank you.
Is the salt you used, is that a mushroom salt or
It's the Celtic sea salt.
Celtic sea salt?
And the nutritional yeast flakes you can find in any store that
Health food store.
health food store. So I put this salt, and then I think it calls for oil and Bragg's. Does it call for 2
1
tablespoons?
tablespoon Bragg's and 1/2 cup of olive oil.
Okay. So I'm going to do basically 1.5 tablespoons of Bragg's. And you will see this will sit in the fridge overnight, and it'll taste very good tomorrow. Okay, and 1/2 cup?
Yes.
So we'll put 3/4 of a cup. Since we're... Hopefully my jar will last here.
We'll pray, the Lord will pray.
Yeah. He'll multiply it. I've got a couple of nard jars in the bag, so, but we got enough. Okay. Just add it all in. Okay. I will add the garlic later because I do not have the garlic press. Thank you for getting it for me, but I don't have the garlic press, so we'll just put it in the back.
That looks like a good.
But you will see this looks like a beautiful salad. Let me just move this out of the way here. The pomegranates really give it a nice color. But we have used raisins as well and dates. If you're diabetic, you definitely want to cut down on the dried fruit. But you know, you could half the amount of raisins or pomegranates. There is your salad. Doesn't that look nice?
What's everybody else going to eat?
I know, huh? There's not going to be room.
I like enough for VJ.
Right.
It'll be last in line.
Better be on time up the walk. That's all I need.
Okay, so there is our salad ready to go.
So the garlic, you said, are you going to press it?
I'm going to press it and I'm just going to put it in there and serve it.
I
Yeah.
bet you could put red cabbage in there also, right? Or it would give a
Yeah,
different
you can
taste.
put whatever you want, yeah. You could put some good red cabbage as well. Exactly, exactly. But like you see, if we would have just done all green, it's not as pretty and it's really concentrated kale. But by mixing the cauliflower and the cabbage, it gives it a prettier color and it just cuts down so that kale isn't quite so strong because we put a lot of kale in there. But and you're getting concentrated, but it's good for you. So
Strong flavor then? It's pretty strong.
it's pretty strong, but the cauliflower is more neutral and the cabbage is a little more neutral too. So it's just Cynthia actually found this recipe, but she found the kale alone is just pretty intense. And so that's why we've kind of modified it.
I don't really think you all would like it.
Okay, let me take this to the back and I'll be right back out. Well, I have made granola for quite some time, but I many times would burn it as well. And then my mom gave me a good recipe and she shared with me what the secret is. And the secret is cooking it on low for a long time.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to burn it. So, just got to get all my ingredients here together. Would anybody like to volunteer to mix it?
Oh, I know. Why not?
Sorry, I'm just...
Oh, right there. AJ might want to do because he's the cook at his house.
He's right there.
Let me get you one more glove and we will get you set. Just one moment.
And put the powder.
Okay, this recipe is in your books.
I can do it with
23.
one. I'm good.
You good? Okay, well we're trying to find the other gloves.
23.
23.
Okay, overnight.
It says overnight granola. I have cooked it overnight. I usually turn around 10 and then get up at, when I wake up around 5. But you can cook it in the day as well. That's not a matter. So I have found that when you mix the oats using both regular oats and the quick oats, it helps so it can be a little more chunky. If you use all regular oats, it just doesn't have some chunks in it, and my husband likes chunks. So mixing the oats and the oil helps it to be more chunky. So we will put 9 cups of regular rolled oats, and then we're going to use 3 cups of the quick oats. Now on the nuts, it calls for 3/4 of a cup of 3 different nuts. You can put walnuts, almonds, sunflower seeds, pecans. I have got the almonds and the walnuts chopped up here, and I'm going to use pepitas, pumpkin seeds, because pumpkin seeds are very good for us, and they add a nice flavor to the granola. So, but you can use whatever nuts you like. If you have sunflower seeds, if you have no nuts, you can leave the nuts out. So it's really just how you want to do it. And then I used, just one moment, I'm sorry. I'm going to mix this up just a little bit. Before I add the wet ingredients, I want to mix up the dry ingredients.
Do you ever use coconut flakes?
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yes, and my coconut, let me see if it stayed over here. Here it is. 1.5 of coconut, thank you. It's a good thing you asked. I'm not looking at the recipe, so. Okay, so here's our granola. Thank you, thank you. Okay, and the oil that we're going to use is going to be coconut oil. As you know, coconut oil is usually just solid, but I just put it in some very, very, very hot water and let it sit on the stove to to get it to liquid. So this is the coconut oil along with the honey. I've put the two of them together. So I'm just going to mix it a little bit. And you are going to do something. Don't worry. Because to get this all mixed together, it's best with the hands. A spoon just doesn't do it justice. And I am using pineapple juice. I just blended the pineapple and it's kind of separated, so it's a little bit thick, but it's good. So
So you
Is that fresh or?
this is fresh pineapple.
So you just took the chunks and you didn't juice it, you actually blended it.
I just blended it with a little bit of water to get the blender to actually blend. So,
So that cuts down on your honey?
here, Eden. I'm going to give it to you. I put a cup of honey in it, but you can do a half a cup if you don't want it quite so sweet. But when you really think about it, we've got at least 14. Squeeze it with your hands. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what you need to do. You need to squeeze it to get that liquid really in there.
She started saying we got at least 14.
You got at least 14 cups of oats and coconut and nuts and everything like that. So 1 cup of honey, when you look at it, what you buy in the store, the second ingredient is honey. So the ones in the store are a lot sweeter than what you make at home. But I have done this recipe, especially when we have guests with diabetes and everything. We just put a half a cup of honey, and it still tastes good. So I didn't hear that anybody's here with diabetes, so I've put the full cup in there. But yeah, if you can just put some on both of these trays. And I will put this in the oven, and maybe a little bit more on this one.
So no oil on the pan or anything? Because
No,
the oil is in
the oil is in the granola, and you cook it at about 180, 200. I don't know what the recipe says, but yeah, between whatever I always do it as whatever my lowest setting is, because different ovens can be different. Oh, can you spread it around with your other hand? Yeah. That's good. And we'll just put it in the oven. And in your lecture tonight, you'll be smelling it, but there's no taste in it yet. This is your going home treat. On your way home, you need something healthy to snack on. So to have on Sunday. But granola doesn't go bad. It'll last a couple weeks. It doesn't last very long in my house, but
Are you going to make more though, right? Because that's not enough for all of us.
well, we're not giving it to you for the whole week. We're giving it to you for your lunch meal wherever you're going to be on Sunday.
To go, you mean? It's to go granola.
Yeah.
Turn it all.
No, I don't. I just leave it like this. The more you turn it, it's not going to be chunky. It's going to, if you just let it go like this, it should be fine. So, yeah, so this is our granola.
Thank you.
And
Okay, wait, when you put it in the oven, are you stirring it or can you just leave it?
no, you just leave it like this.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't have
The secret is put it on the lowest that your oven is
so
on.
nice.
Because many times if the oven is even 250 is too hot for it, they'll start burning around the edges.
Yeah.
But if you just leave it at 200, every time we've done it here, you'll see, probably Vanessa will show it to you tonight or something, and it just turns out beautiful. Just
And you don't even have to flip it
No,
over?
no.
Oh, that takes the
secret,
out of-
exactly. Well, that's why even, with me sometimes I'll make it at night, and then the next morning it's there to go. So you don't have to worry. It's a really quick
Yeah.
thing to make.
Yeah, so you leave it all night.
Well, if you don't want to leave it more than like 7 hours, probably. If you go to bed at 10 or 5 or whatever.
I've added my dry fruit, my nuts, and my seeds after it's cooked. Is it?
You do want to add your dry fruit afterwards, otherwise it'll be way too hard.
The nuts and seeds?
The nuts just are nice when they're a little bit toasted, so I would recommend that you do it with it. But if you want to add it afterwards, that's fine too. But when you do it with this and you're mixing it together, some of the oats are on the nuts, and it's just comes together more. But you're fine to add this nuts and seeds afterwards if you would
When I
like.
do pecans, they roast really fast. So I thought if I left it in the oven for 8 hours, they would be.
Yeah, but it's on 180 or 190, so it's not very hot. So they should be fine. But you definitely, your raisins, pineapple, whatever kind of dried fruit you want to add that after the granola is done. So, and you can also, if you don't want to use pineapple juice, you can use apple juice. You can use orange juice. I like to use orange juice sometimes as well. But we find with the coconut oil and the pineapple, it just goes well together.
Yeah.
But whatever juice you would like to use is
Do you
fine.
ever put cinnamon or stuff like that in there?
I haven't. This has just been my basic recipe, but I mean, you could. I'm sure you could do whatever you want with it. You are welcome to modify any of these recipes that you would like. So, yeah. So.
I put a little vanilla sometimes if you like vanilla.
Yeah, and actually, I think even this recipe calls for it, doesn't it?
Yes.
And
Oh, that's right. It's
I
right.
forgot. You guys need to be following up on me. You need to be looking at the recipe.
I didn't see the coconut.
Well, I do. Sometimes I put the vanilla in, and sometimes I forget. But it is there. Yeah, so that is it for today. Unless you have any questions, you will be eating our creations in the next few days. We are going to do the gluten-free waffles.
All right.
And it's on page 13.
You have to eat those right now, right? I mean, seriously, what are you going to do?
What can you do? Well, if you haven't noticed, we've actually been making them already in the kitchen. But you're going to have them for breakfast tomorrow.
Really? Why do you save a waffle overnight?
It can be done. It can be
No
done.
wonder they don't allow you. I just figured it out.
Taste it while
Oh, I think they'll be just as well tomorrow.
That is the reasoning behind it. Your food would just
It tastes better just
But actually, you can put them in the freezer as well. You can put waffles in the freezer.
Yes, yes, yes.
Make up several batches and then put them in the freezer and pull them out. And then they want to sample the waffles at cooking school.
She just found out. Because we were just saying it's more of us than her. We're going to take a waffle today.
They're going to sample it.
We just found out why you don't let us in the kitchen. We just found out.
In control.
We're going to go ahead and get started.
Yes.
Page 13, it's the waffles, the gluten-free waffles. The water, cup of soaked chickpeas, and I have soaked them yesterday, last night. And 1.5 cups of sunflower seeds, tablespoon of olive oil, and a little bit of salt. And yeah, I don't know what it says in your cookbook. Does this only say 3 cups of water, right?
It says, yeah.
Okay, we need to add an extra cup of water to that.
Okay.
And
So it's 4 cups?
it's 4 cups of water. And you will,
You guys hear that?
it's 4
Instead
cups of
3
water instead of 3
right,
cups.
4 cups.
No.
Really? How long did you soak
Did you know you could pop them?
Really? I know you can soak them.
Oh, you mean pop them like popcorn?
I never tried it. Really? You can pop them. Like popcorn.
So those are raw and you just...
They're raw and they're just soaked overnight for, yeah? No, but because they're going to go in the waffle iron.
Okay.
If you soak them for about 3 days and they started sprouting, then you could probably eat them raw. But I'm not as familiar.
So you got 4 cups of
I have 4 cups of water, and I've got the 1.5 cups of sunflower seeds, and brown rice flour. Now, if you don't have brown rice flour, you grind up some brown rice, and you get your flour.
Oh.
So this is 2 cups of brown rice, and we're going to just put it in here, and it'll take a little bit to blend, but it should do pretty good here. The Worcester meal should work good as well for the brown rice. Can you give me a tablespoon, measuring tablespoon? Here's our brown rice flour.
So you didn't even have to make it into flour. You can just put it in flour now?
It is. It's brown rice flour now.
Oh, that's all you had in there.
Yep, that's all I had.
Is that a blender? I mean, Vitamix?
It is a Vitamix. It's hard.
It works in the,
Does it work in a regular blender?
but the, what's that other one?
Ninja?
Ninja, that's what I have. It works just fine.
Okay, you do need a pretty powerful blender. I'm just going to measure it again and see if 2 cups of rice came out to 2 cups of flour.
It's usually,
Is Ninja a little cheaper? Is it?
I think so. Whoa, I'm
It
sorry.
is cheaper. It's about, it depends. They have
Got
different
it all on film.
150 or 250.
Okay, it makes more, so you probably only need 1.5 cups of rice.
$500 to $700.
Irene, did you hear? It made it more, so you-
It makes 2 cups of rice makes more, so I'm thinking.
So measuring it 2 cups raw makes more flour.
Cynthia says she puts it all in, but that's a lot. Maybe that's why you have to water it down, because it makes almost an extra cup, I think.
1.5 times.
Or maybe if it comes to thick.
Yeah, it's just over 1/2 cup. So,
That's your extra.
okay, so now a teaspoon as well.
1 tablespoon.
1 tablespoon of olive oil.
Yeah, I wonder if you're going to need that since you put in 4 cups of water.
How often you have to replace?
Oil, you need a little bit of oil in it.
No, I wonder if you need the extra flour since you put 4 cups of water instead.
I don't think so, but we'll see what the consistency is after I blend it. How much salt does it call for?
Half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon, okay. This is a measuring 1 teaspoon. This is the Himalayan pink salt. This is also has a lot of good minerals in it. So if you get the Celtic salt or the Himalayan salt, they're all good for you.
Do you like alternate just to get the different stuff, or?
I don't. I use the Celtic salt, but the Celtic salt that we have in the kitchen is pretty coarse, and so we need to put it in the coffee grinder and make it finer. So Cynthia said, here, put this out there for cooking class. This is easier than the coarse one. Okay, let's blend it up here. I need the I think I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Can you give me those tops on it? Let's see how it is. There's a little bit.
If it sits, will it get thicker?
It'll sit and it'll get thicker, but we're going to, Cynthia says the recipe says to do it both, to let it sit overnight. So that's what we did. But we're going to, she said she's done it both ways. She's more familiar with this recipe than I am. But we're going to try it and just do it like this. That's why I also put all of the rice flour in. Okay, I think this should be good. And it is thin, but I added the extra rice flour, so it should be okay. And we'll flip it in. This is a waffle iron that Holly was telling us about, and it's all ceramic. So it doesn't have any of the Teflon in it. And you don't have to, that's for next recipe. So you don't have to put anything on it. You just pour your waffle in there.
Really? You don't spray it or anything?
We didn't put any vanilla flavor or anything in here, huh?
No, because these are more like a savory waffle.
Oh.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
chickpea. that's-
you're gonna have these with lentils tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
We're gonna see how this,
I've never heard of that.
and then you flip it over. Okay, so we are going to do 2 recipes of this waffle, and as soon as I get a blender, what you can see on the recipe, it's oats, and then cashews, and flaxseed, which are very good for you, and millet, as you've probably learned in Barbara's lectures, is alkaline, and that is a great, it's great. You had millet this morning. We just want to show you different ways that you can use millet. And then we put, as this apple juice concentrate, that's to just give it a little bit of sweetener, but we're going to put a couple dates in it instead. So just make sure you cut your dates in half, because those seeds don't blend very well. So I think, and we're going to do this recipe twice. So
What's going to be the difference?
what's that?
What's going to be the difference?
This one is more for sweet, if you want to put applesauce on it and things like that. I mean, it's not really that much sweet, but it's oats and cashews and these things. So you can put savory on it if you want as well, but we're just showing you something a little different. So this is 4 cups of hot water, I think. Does it say hot water? Or just says water? Okay, we'll save that. Okay, so I've got 2 cups of quick oats here, and I've got a half a cup of each of the flax seeds. You can use the darker brown flax seeds as well. Both of them are very good. And a half a cup of millet, and 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, and does it say a half a cup of cashew, I think. And I just washed the cashew. And how much salt does it call for?
Is that standard?
Half a teaspoon, so we'll put 1 teaspoon in. What was the question?
Is that a standard thing to wash cashews? Because I buy them and just eat them right out.
It's very dirty, I think, huh?
Cashews are quite a process to get them out of the tree and everything like that. And some of them are coming from
So you wash them
Pakistan and from different countries.
even if they're organic, you wash them?
I do wash them.
Even walnuts, I eat it.
Really?
But yeah, I put it in the oven on a low heat just to dry.
I need this to be put in a bowl and then bring a glass thing to
And they said when you
glass
fry the
cup
walnuts,
with a little plate, and then wash this.
So you don't wash the walnuts.
I
you
wash the walnuts.
You wash it and then put it in the
And
oven.
I put a little bit of Celtic salt in there if you want that. And I put it in the oven to dry. Low heat.
And you can even dehydrate your walnuts. If you dehydrate them, if you wash them and dehydrate them, they're
It's really
like
good.
toasted a little bit, and it makes your nuts very good. Very good. Your walnuts, pecans, especially.
So you can, yeah, they cashew.
Okay. These are ready to go.
What did you tell us about this Deutsch? This is
That's true. Bosch is too.
Fancy Deutsch?
Nine? Or nine? I don't know. I lived in Norway, so I do know a little bit of Norwegian, but
Really?
and they're similar, but they're a little bit different.
Are you Norwegian?
My grandma is.
Really?
So, you know, us Americans are a whole mixture of everything, but I claim the Norwegian more than anything else I have in me because I got the blonde hair and the...
Just sprinkle.
It's good to make sure that your waffle iron is hot. And
Yeah, that's a real big waffle.
and this recipe, we've doubled it. It'll make about 10 of these squares. I mean, you know, twice plus another 2 probably. That's about what it'll...
Take care of EJ and I then.
Yeah, you think so? And then the rest of them, you guys should be... We've made plenty of waffles. I think we've overkilled, but you won't run out tomorrow.
We're going to run up the hill and beat you here.
Yeah, you better leave the garden by about 20 to 8 tomorrow, so we are on time here.
Yeah, we don't want to have cold. And Mr. Bridges is already in the room, so we got to figure that out.
So every waffle is a little different, but usually, you know, you just have to figure out your waffle iron, which one.
It looks really good with sesame seed on top of the waffle.
It does, and sesame seeds are good for you, and so it's really good. Okay, we are going to make a black bean burger now.
Wow.
And I really like this recipe. Let's see if we can kind of pull this all together. This black bean burger, let me see what recipe.
22. Right?
Okay.
It's a different one.
Okay. No, this is not the right one. Let me see. This is the recipe that we used to use, but as you can see, this one has breadcrumbs in it. But if you're trying to stay away from breadcrumbs, you have to have a different recipe. So I found this recipe on page 27, and it's sweet potato black bean burgers. And I really like this recipe. I love sweet potatoes, and I think it's just a nice... I need another bowl. I'm sorry. Not as big as that, but one similar.
The gluten-free, when they have gluten-free flour, it is still the wheat, right? So you shouldn't use it.
No, a gluten-free flour, if it says it's a gluten-free flour, then it usually has a combination of flours. It has like millet flour or rice flour or tapioca starch, potato flour.
Okay, so
It's usually, sometimes they'll make a mixture because see with gluten-free flour you can't just replace it and just say, okay, I'm going to put potato starch or millet flour because some of these flours just do nothing. They don't rise, they don't have anything to hold them together, so you really have to mix it all up.
and so the breadcrumbs, black bean burger.
Yeah.
They have like gluten-free
Breadcrumbs?
Do you have your
You can find them in the store.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find them in the store. Or you could make some spelt flour and make it, spelt bread and make it into crumbs. That's what we've done. We've just made crumbs. But when I found this recipe, we just started using this recipe. So this is black beans. I've cooked them. They have a little bit of salt. We just soaked them last night and then we cooked them this morning. You can use something out of the can if you want to, but Marcia, I need these finely chopped, and I'm going to mash about half of these. Okay, good. Thank you so much. We're going to give you an extra recipe and try and go quickly here. We'll see if we can make it.
How long did you cook your beans?
So you,
We had them on high for a few hours until they were soft. I think so. We must have turned them on around 9, 10:30, yeah. But we're cooking a large quantity too. You know, it depends on how much you're cooking. You just want them to be soft. And you do want to soak them the night before.
So you roasted a sweet potato.
I did. And I think that
It's the best.
gives it a nice flavor. And this is my rice. I've cooked the rice. And you don't necessarily want it granulated, so I mean it's fine if it's all sticking together because you want it all to kind of come together anyways. And then the sweet potato, I have just cut them in half and put olive oil on them and put them on the pan. And so now I'm just going to peel them a little bit and mash them up. And put them in there. But this brown powder is actually very nice. I like to just eat potatoes just like this. I've never understood how people like to put so much sugar and all of that in there.
Like that, too.
You do?
A little bit coconut oil on
I
it.
like the coconut oil, yeah.
Yeah, pinch of
Okay.
So
This is my measuring cup.
when you put them in the oven, you put them cut side down on the pan?
Yep.
Interesting. I couldn't make that up.
Well, I think that's what the recipe says. I got this recipe from somebody else, and I just followed the recipe, and I thought, well, and it says like at 400 for 30 minutes, I think.
Yes.
So it's just until it's nice and soft.
Run away the peel?
I am, because it would be kind of tough with the burgers. I'm trying to.
You don't use a knife, you just pull it off.
What's that?
You just pull it off. You don't.
I am. Some of them I peeled, so I'm just seeing what I did.
Oh, okay.
That one got a little bit dark. If it's too dark, I'm taking it off because I don't want it. You don't want any carcinogenic stuff, right? Okay. They're so nice and soft. And sweet potatoes are very good for you, actually. They're even better for you than white potato because they have the beta carotene. Look at how beautiful that one is. So it's really, and it also gives you a full feeling. You know, if people are trying to lose weight and whatever, potatoes are just really good because they give you that full feeling. It's a good thing I peeled some of these before.
You're just peeling a little bit off, right?
I am. I'm not taking off the roasted part on the other side. And I actually, for this recipe, I used about 8 small sweet potatoes. It really, when you cook them down, it really takes quite a bit. So it just all depends on the size of your sweet potatoes, but I used about 8 of them.
It's about right.
What's that?
It's just about right.
Yep, I made it in the last cooking class, and I said, I think this is about what it is. So, okay, so there it is. I'm just going to put them in here. If I can get them out now, right? Okay, and then I've chopped some green onions. These came from our garden, so you're getting a little bit of garden stuff with your meals as well. And then we have a half a cup of walnuts. And one of the secrets to this recipe is the delicious smoked paprika. Have any of you ever used smoked paprika?
Yes.
Okay, that is a very nice addition. And so this is what we have here. And you can get this anywhere in the stores. Maybe I can get you to go open that for me. And what does it call for, a teaspoon? Or
1 teaspoon.
1 teaspoon.
I need cumin. 1 teaspoon? Okay, so this is a half a teaspoon, so we're going to put 1 Isn't it beautiful? If you haven't used it, you can smell the smoked flavor. You can just pass it around there. Doesn't it smell good? How much salt does it call for?
Quarter teaspoon.
Quarter teaspoon, okay.
Each salt and pepper to taste.
Okay. And I have,
Cayenne for that.
and how much cumin?
Cumin is 2.5
Okay.
teaspoon.
1, so I'm putting 5 because I got a half a teaspoon here. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then it calls for chipotle sauce.
Yes, chipotle powder. What is
I don't know how, I'm not sure what it is, but we don't use it, and so I'm just going to put a little bit, we're just going to put a little bit of maple syrup. We found that just a little bit of maple syrup. But I think for Denise's sake, we're going to leave it out.
Yes.
If y'all don't mind, we're going to leave it out for her. Okay. And I'm going to mix this up, and we're going to put it right here on this tray.
I don't think all the paprika smells like that. This small one. This one is very good.
Okay. We'll just mix this up, and I'm just going to kind of mash the sweet potatoes with my hands because it's all coming in together. And like you say, there's no liquid in here. It's just the black beans and the rice and the sweet potatoes all together. And I can tell you a good thing. This you are going to have for lunch today. So we're going to get these baked, and you can try them for lunch.
Oh, I know. Let's see how this nice green onions.
I'm sure that if you don't have the green onions, you can use just regular onions, but the green gives it a nice color. And since we had some green onions in the garden, okay. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of, it just depends. If you've got a pan that's not sticking, but I don't want these to stick, and so I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I'm going to put a little bit of coconut on here. There's a little bit of paprika, but I don't think it'll hurt anything. Okay. And we're going to make these smaller burgers, but you can make them whatever size you want to. Whoops. They kind of look like cookies. Yeah, you can use a bigger scoop if you want. You're going to have beans and rice as well, so we didn't want to make these so big.
My mom uses the mason canning lids.
Yep,
Just smash them in there and then just push out.
that's a good idea. And Tupperware also has a burger press that is very nice as well. And you bake these at, how long does it say? Sometimes you do have to put a little bit of oil on the lid though, because it sometimes has a harder time coming out.
No, this is for sure. She was not with the bread.
Well, they don't taste like cookies, I can assure you.
Chocolate chip, no less.
Yeah, they don't taste like it though.
So bake 30 to 45 minutes, carefully flipping 20 minutes to ensure.
Yeah. Yeah, you do want to flip them over.
Yeah.
So do it for 20 minutes and then, or 15 minutes, check them and see if they're ready in 15 minutes. I always like to check them first and not just put on the time for the whole time. Okay. I think you'll like this recipe though. It's become a favorite of mine. And it's nice because, you know, a lot of people are gluten-free and we are better off if we're gluten-free, so it's nice to find recipes that you can use that you don't have to modify it, you know, it's just as it is, it's good.
That's great.
When you make
There's
this
lots
full,
of fiber in there too.
when you make this full recipe, about how many people does it serve?
I think it gets between 12 and 15 burgers when you don't make them quite as small as I'm doing it. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'll tell you when I get done putting these in, I'll tell you how many little ones it made.
Hello. Okay, well, now we're about to check on our granola that Naomi made in cooking class earlier today, and this is the second phase where I take it out of the oven and I just turn it over and then put it back in to finish. Just wanted to get a little bit toasty. Okay. I'm going to take the second one out now, put this back in. Now we're going to have it on for about 3 more hours. The whole process is about 8 hours. So it's been a little bit past midway where we just check on it just to make sure it's looking good and toasty. And now just in about 3 more hours, we're going to take it out, let it cool, and then it'll be ready to eat.
The Ministry of Healing, page 232, paragraph 1. We have the sanction of the Word of God for the use of remedial agencies. Hezekiah, king of Israel, was sick, and a prophet of God brought him the message that he should die. He cried unto the Lord, and the Lord heard his servant and sent him a message that 15 years should be added to his life. Now, one word from God would have healed Hezekiah instantly, but special directions were given, quote, "Let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover." Isaiah 38, verse 21.
Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to our little presentation this evening on natural simple remedies. Most of you have at some time or the other used something that's natural, like you have potato in the house. You do?
Yes.
You have ginger. If you're like me, you will have ginger.
Yes.
How about garlic? And onions?
Yes.
And these are just things that you have around in the house. You don't even have to go out and purchase anything new. You can just utilize what we are going to share with you today. I have a little quote I would like to just tell you about. It says, God's miracles do not always bear the outward semblance of miracles. Often they are brought about in a way which looks like the natural course of events. We answer our own prayers, it says, when we use remedies that are within our reach, such as the things that I mentioned here. For instance, water, which you're going to have a demonstration tomorrow on hydrotherapy. Water, wisely applied, is a most powerful remedy. As it is used intelligently, favorable results are seen. God has given us intelligence, hasn't He? Mm-hmm. And He desires us to make the most of His health-giving blessings. Natural means, used in accordance with God's will, bring about supernatural results. We ask for a miracle, and the Lord directs the mind to some simple remedies. Herbal and simple remedies were intended by God to be a blessing, but they can only serve their purpose if we know how to use them. Do you agree? Mm-hmm. God's remedies are the simple agencies of nature that will not tax or debilitate the system through powerful properties. So we have the things around us in nature. All we have to do is know how to use them, and most people don't. As a missionary, I've traveled to many countries, and I have come about a lot of different herbal stuff that is right around the homes. Most people don't know. They said, oh, that's a weed. I said, no, that's good stuff. That has high omega-3, like purslane. It grows like a weed. We have another one called lamb's quarters. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with that. Lamb's quarters has the most calcium of any food that you can think about. 1 cup has about 435 milligrams of calcium. And that's a weed. It grows in the wild. So we have the things around us, and what I've also learned is that in every country that you visit, every country has exactly the herbs that would help the situation that they have in that country. So we don't have to import and export because it's all around us. We only have to know how to use these things. How many of you have used charcoal before? Quite a few. Okay, great. So we know that charcoal is an adsorbent, not but adsorbent, meaning that it's like a magnet. And whatever it holds onto, it never lets it go. It holds onto it until it's excreted, one way or another. You know, it is also a very useful antiseptic due to its adsorbing properties, and it's considered by some to be black gold. Have you ever seen black gold? This is phenomenal. It draws the poison, as I said, into itself. It neutralizes it. Nothing else does this. Nothing else on earth does this. It can be used, and it has been used in hospitals. In my era of working as a nurse, we used it quite a lot. If a person came into the hospital overdosed on, or tried to commit suicide by overdosing, the first thing they would give them is charcoal. I believe they still do that now. This was like 30-something years ago. They still administer the charcoal with sorbitol, which is a laxative. So as they take the charcoal, it adheres to the poison, whatever it is, and then it's excreted out. And that's phenomenal. Even in our water filters, do you know that most water filters has charcoal, right? And in World War I, they actually used charcoal in their gas mask. And that's, you know, when we talk about, is it, what is that? Anthrax? Anthrax, right. They were saying that if you have charcoal, you're in good standing. I don't know how true that is. But it's just great that we have this stuff. It can be used internally for indigestion, for gas, for fermentation, and also for diarrhea, just to name a few. If you're having diarrhea and you have charcoal, you will just take some charcoal every time you have a diarrhea bout until the diarrhea stops. Now, you can overdo with the charcoal because it will constipate you. But you have to make sure that you're ingesting quite a bit of water as you do this so that that constipation will not happen. So this evening we are going to look at how to make a charcoal poultice. How many of you have made a charcoal poultice? Okay. Charcoal is also very good for stings, bites, for gangrene, and also old ulcers and sore. My little story about using charcoal for a bee sting, I was stung by a yellow jacket. And I was visiting my daughter. I went to get blueberries for her, and I mashed a nest. And they got under my skirt. And they got their way all the way up, obscure. And I got to my daughter and I said, oh, this is really scratching, it's hurting, can you have a look? She says, Mom, she got a purse, she says, we have to go to the emergency department. I said, not so soon, not so soon. So I said, I left charcoal here, I'm going to find it. Well, it took me a while to find the charcoal, but I made a poultice of that charcoal, and before you know it, I slept with it all night, and that area that was raised, all of a sudden, I could not even find it the next morning. Then there is a lady who was bitten by a scorpion in Arizona about a year ago. She went to the hospital, and they gave her 2 anti-venom shots at $40,000 a shot. Now, if she knew about charcoal, I believe she would have been in good standing. Her insurance paid $50,000, and the hospital was going after her for the rest. I mean, that's just phenomenal. And one other story before I get onto this is that there's a story in India. We have a pastor was in India, and he went to the homes to invite people to come to his evangelistic meeting. And most of the homes, they were in a Hindu area, so most people would not even open their doors. But he went in, this lady opened her door, and he went in and he prayed with her and invited her to the meeting. 3 or 4 days later, this lady was bitten by a poisonous snake. And the whole village now believes that she has angered the gods. So the husband went to the meeting and said to Mark Finley, he says, can you please come and pray with my wife? She's in a room somewhere just dying because they said nothing they can do about it. So he eventually got there, and when he did, his wife, who is also a nurse, looked at him and says, all we can do is pray. They did pray, but they cook on the outside, so they had charcoal outside. He says, grind up this charcoal, go to your neighbors, get some more charcoal and bring it, grind it up. And after praying, they pretty much painted her whole body with this charcoal. And a few days later, she was back at the evangelistic meeting. But what was interesting about him was this. He said, the husband did not tell him anything, but in his mind he says, if my wife recovers, I'm going to join that church. Wow. And because she recovered, 50 people in the village joined the church. Just because of knowing what to do with charcoal. See, for most people, they don't know what the value of charcoal, but it is a phenomenal substance that we can use safely without it's overtaxing our system in any way. So the way we make a charcoal, now I understand some people wanted to do hands-on. So who would like to make the charcoal poultice? Who has not made one?
Sue.
Come on, Sue. Get on up here, Sue. This. And thanks for volunteering. Oh, everyone volunteered you, right? Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to use 3 parts charcoal. Now, just be careful because charcoal, it's powder and dusty, so you can actually inhale it. So just take 3 tablespoons. Good.
2,
3.
and 3.
Good.
So far, so
And we need 1 part of, what we're going to use is flaxseed. We need something that will bind it together.
Okay.
So we put 1 part.
This is ground flax.
This is ground flaxseed. And now we need hot water. So we need 5 parts of water. Now, you may have to add more water, and it's okay, but at least you can start with this and see how thick it is, and then you can do that. This is hot water.
Okay. And we're doing how many parts here?
5. It probably would need some more, but we can start with that.
3, 4,
And you just mix gently. Yep.
Wow, it's black.
Black gold.
It is dark.
Yes.
Wow.
This is powerful. It's good for toothache. It's good for ulcers.
Too big.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to use the last bowl.
We are going to put 1 more
Okay.
water. And you just play around with it until you have it to a nice consistency. Now, we save all our old sheets and everything like that. We just cut them up and we use them for the purpose of making charcoal. Now, I want you to take that and let everyone see the good job that you've done.
Oh, thank you. Look at that. There's some for all of you. Thank you. So am I
You're
good
welcome.
now?
So we're going to make, the way we make a poultice is we just go ahead and spread it, all of it. You can spread all of it here, just in that area, right in the middle. Mm-hmm.
All, the whole thing?
Yes, you can.
Wow. That's a lot.
Wonderful. Spread it out.
Okay. Wow.
And it depends on the area that you're putting it as well. It can be a small or it can be large. Now you can also make this and freeze it. In that way, whenever you need it, it's right there in the freezer. It thaws out very quickly. So what we do, we just bring this over to the side. Bring this one over here.
I guess I should have it moved over a little.
It's like you're making an envelope. Then you close it up, because now you don't want to be sleeping on white sheets and this comes apart. Right? And so you would put this on. Now this is nice. You see how it has a nice wet surface here? You put it on. Let's just put it on your arm. We know you don't have anything there, so let's just do this. So I'm just going to show you. So this is the poultice. This is where the bite is. It's nice and it's warm. Then you would take a piece of plastic, and this is to keep the moisture in. And you can put another bandage on top of this. We don't have one. And you can sleep with that for the night, and that will take care of the bee sting, the snake bites, or whatever it is. Isn't that awesome?
That's great.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I should be feeling better.
Thank you very much. You can go just wash that off. So now that everyone knows how to, I always say, you know, the visa people says don't leave home without it. I said every home should have charcoal, especially if you have children. Yes?
Do you mix it in a glass bowl for a special reason?
Yes, because the plastic tends to get dirty quickly. This washes out very easily. Yes, yes. So we have one poultice ready for someone. Okay. So as I said, you can also make slurry water. What is slurry water? It's charcoal with water where the sediments have actually gotten to the bottom. So you can actually give a child this without them having any problems with the sediments of the charcoal. So this actually is about 6 months old. It could be more than that. You see, I keep this in the garden. So in case I get bitten by a snake or a wasp or anything like that, I have the charcoal already there. So I have charcoal in the house, charcoal in the van, charcoal in the garden. Wherever I am, I take charcoal with me. Charcoal and cayenne pepper, those are two things that I always take around with me. So this is what you would make with this for the slurry water. 1 or 2 tablespoons of charcoal, and you just put this in a quart of water, and it will settle. It doesn't settle like this overnight, but you will see the sediments already settling there. And then you can always have it available for whatever use you want to use it for. Okay, now we're going to look at another very powerful drawing effect food. You know what that is? Onions. Onions, it has a very drawing effect. So whatever is in your system and you want it out. For instance, if you have a boil and you want it to bring it to a head, you just cut an onion, you steam an onion, and then you just cut it, and you put a piece over with a piece of saran wrap, and actually that boil will come to a head, and it will just clean out whatever is in there. If you have an earache, you can actually cut the onion, steam the onion, take the juice, put it in a spoon, and take a couple drops and put it in the ear. We had one of our lifestyle guests that came, and she was she suffers with chronic earache. And when I recommended this, she was a little skeptical, but she said, yes, let's do it. And within 20 minutes, when I checked with her again, the pain had gone, and she never complained again while she was here. So it's very powerful, and it will do quite a lot for earache and other things. If you have a boil, and you can always cut it in thick slices, I didn't bring an extra one, and just put it in a piece of cloth, wrap it like this. So let's just pretend that this is the onion. You cut it, you wrap it like this, and it's still nice and warm, and the person can actually lie on the face with it. And this is actually going to help the whatever the pain, or even the earache or toothache for that matter. It would work that way. Another thing that we can do with raw onions is we can do a chest poultice for asthma, for bronchitis, any respiratory problems. You know, these are the remedies that our grandparents and great-grandparents used, and very effectively, but we have antibiotics now, so we go for the quick fix thing, but these work very well. So what you will do if you are making a poultice for a chest, you want to make it a little bigger than that, you will cut the onion up, and I already have some cut up. And because it is a wet, it's very juicy, so it has lots of water in it, you will spread it out on a piece of cloth. Again, you just make it like this. And if you were going to put this on the chest, you just rest it here, put a piece of saran wrap, again to keep the moisture in, and you put a bandage around. And that would actually help someone who has respiratory problems.
Including pneumonia?
Including pneumonia, yes. But of course you would have to be doing other things, not just this. For instance, sugar. It would be good if you're not using any sugar. It would be good if you're drinking water, getting sunlight. Just applying the 8 laws of health would actually help. I remember my sister had double pneumonia, and we didn't use this, but we used a essential oil called oil of oregano. And we used that with hot and cold fermentation to the chest. And it alleviated her problems, and she did not even have to go to the doctor for anything. So yes. So the things that we have are at our disposal, and when we learn to use them, it gets better all the time. You can use the same poultice that I just mentioned here for the chest. You can make one for the throat. If you're having a sore throat, you can actually put this around, put the plastic around it, and sleep with it overnight. I've tried it, and it worked. So the sore throat went away. The other thing that I use for sore throat too is charcoal. If I have the charcoal tablets, I take the tablets and I just let it dissolve to the back of my throat and then go to bed with it. I get up in the morning and the sore throat is gone. Now, it's also always very good to try and do these things before the situation gets too worse. So as soon as you feel it coming on, just get to work on it. I always say, throw a book at it. And that way you can nab it before it gets worse. And so we are going to make you a little cough mixture. This is one of Barbara's favorite. I don't know if any of you have done this before, but would anyone like to come and make this cough medicine? Then come on out. Who's coming? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, come on, Paul. This is a very simple and very powerful cough syrup. Just come on my right here. So the way we do this, and I'll just explain, is you're going to make a layer of onions. I've already cut the onions.
Now this is steamed or fresh?
This is fresh.
Fresh, okay.
A layer of onions, you put it to the bottom, just a little bit, just to layer it, and then, let me just explain. And then you're going to take a little bit of honey, and you're going to drizzle a little bit of honey on it, and then you're going to keep layering it until you get to the top. And then we're going to let it sit, and I'll show you what happens tomorrow morning. Okay, so we can start with that.
So I need a fork or something, just put it
No,
in.
just take, that's fine. Just take up a few and put it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just put yes, that's right, that's fine. A little bit more. A little bit more. Wonderful. Okay, so then you're going to just drizzle a little bit of honey.
How much?
I'll tell you, about a teaspoon. Wonderful, that's great. That's great. Another?
Yeah, you see. Shouldn't have had a sugar at it either. Yeah.
All right, another layer of onions. Another layer of honey. He's going to do better this time. Good, good. Another layer of onions. And he's crying because onion has a very high sulfur. Mm-hmm.
Actually,
yeah. Yeah. Keep going.
Okay, another layer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does it matter what kind of onions?
No, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Of course, if you did red onions, you'll have a nice red juice. And the kids might like that. With color.
Give you any more?
More nutrients, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And at the end, yes. At the end, what you can do when you strain this, and you have just the juice, you can actually add a few drops of peppermint or eucalyptus in it, and you have your cough syrup. Yes. And it is very good. And the nice thing about this is that it will stay in the refrigerator indefinitely. There was one lady who said she had it made up for 8 years. It was in her refrigerator. So it doesn't spoil because you know honey is a preservative. So it will not spoil.
Now you put water with that?
No, no water.
Oh,
It will
just-
make its own water.
Oh, okay.
That's the juice. So that's it.
Okay, how quickly could you use that?
By the end of the night.
Oh, okay. So okay. It takes a little while. It has to.
Yeah, but tomorrow morning you will have a lot more juice
Oh, okay.
out of there. And so that's it. So we will take a look at it by the end of the class. And also by tomorrow morning you will notice that
Now you used to drink some of that?
Yes. Oh, yes. We'll let everyone have some tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks to Paul.
Sure.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. And it is really powerful. Now, just remember that for a child who is under 2 years old, you would not give honey because because of botulism, they want you to make sure that a child that age does not have honey. And so it will be for any child older than 2 years of age. In your book, you would also have another recipe. This one's from Barbara. It's called the flu bomb. So whenever you feel that the flu is coming on, it's garlic, eucalyptus oil, cayenne pepper. You have it in your book. Juice from 1 lemon, warm water, and honey. And that's it. And you make that up and you have that as your cough syrup. You know, there's been quite a lot of recall on a lot of the cough syrups that's out there, and they have things in them that you really don't want to use. So this is a natural way in which you can work with your body instead of against putting things in there that are not very healthy. Okay. Now, my friend, garlic. How many of you like garlic? I love garlic. Look at that, 2 hands went up. I love garlic. You know, it has been considered the herbal wonder drug with a reputation for preventing everything from the common plague, from the common cold to the plague. This is what it will do. It also goes by the name stinking rose. It is the best plant source of sulfur, and it is a very potent herb. It can be very irritating if you were to apply this directly onto your skin. If you cook it in a microwave, you lose all the nutrients out of it if you put it in the microwave. So it's best to put it on the stove top, or you can roast it in the oven, steam it in a little steamer, and you will get more out of it than putting it in a microwave. It says microwave appears to destroy the allicin, which is one of the main ingredients in the garlic, and it totally eliminates the benefits of it. So just keep that in mind. Hippocrates used, and he was in the 605 BC, he used garlic as a laxative, as a diuretic, for tumors, for leprosy, for chest pain, for toothache, and many other things he used it for. You can use this if you have a really severe toothache. You can take a smaller one, put it in the side of your mouth, and just barely crack it a little bit to release a little bit of the juice a little bit at a time, not potently all of it at one time. And actually it would help to get rid of the toothache. Louis Pasteur also used garlic. He actually found that it destroyed, killed the microorganisms that was in his petri dish, just using garlic. In the Bible, it's used. The Israelites use it as part of their diet. And it has been used around the world for many, many uses. It has the ability to treat bacteria, yeast infections, reduce triglycerides, raises your good cholesterol, reduces your bad cholesterol, good for hypertension, lowers your blood sugar, and it also helps to prevent the formation of cancer in the body. Stimulates the immune system, prevent blood clots, and the list goes on and on. It is a wonder drug indeed. If you are taking garlic for As an antibiotic, you'll need to take at least, this is the size I think would be good, 4 of these every day, medium to get the benefits of it, 4 every day for 3 days, and after that your immune system should have been improved. It says research also shows that taking garlic, it is 6 times more potent than tetracycline, which is an antibiotic that is being used. People with stomach and colon irritation should be careful when using it because it can probably irritate the stomach a little bit more. If you are giving garlic to a child, for instance, there's a story about a little child who had an earache, and the parents, in order to give the child garlic, you cannot give the child garlic, they won't eat it. And if you were to put this directly on the child's skin, it will cause some irritation. Actually, it will cause a blister. So what you can do is you will slice this garlic very thinly, and you're going to make a little poultice of this. My poultice is big, but I'll just show you. You just put the thin cut garlic on a piece of cloth like this. You're going to fold it over, like you same for to make a poultice. You're going to put a pair of socks on the child, and then you're going to put this under the sock, and then you put another sock over this. And if the child is a toddler and the child is walking about, every time the child walks, it releases a little bit of this allicin in the bloodstream. It only takes a minute for the blood to circulate into your body. So can you imagine that by the time the child gets this on, within 1 to 2 to 3 hours, the effect of this is already circulating in the system, and it would alleviate the earache or whatever problem the child has. Wow. So great for that purpose. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is ginger. Anyone here like ginger? You know, they call me Ginger here because I love ginger. Everything I cook, everything I bake has ginger. And it is wonderful. For the way they use it now, actually, it's used mostly for nausea. Even the hospitals, there's a hospital I worked at in Toronto, they were using this before they would use the conventional medication. If this did not work, the ginger did not work, and they have capsules. If that did not work, then they would go for something else. And it was good to see that they're finally doing something different. And so that was one of the main things that was being used for was nausea. But it is good for colds, it's good for sore throat, it's good for bronchitis. It's a powerful antioxidant and an anti-inflammatory agent. It's good for nausea, as I said, for fermentation. It also produces sweat when taken hot. So if you make a hot cup of tea and you want to sweat, this will do it. If you're going into the sauna and you're not a person that sweats a lot, you take a cup of this tea and you go into the sauna, you will sweat. It will bring out whatever is in there. So it's very good for a lot of things. And for joint inflammation. Anyone here using ginger? Okay, so maybe you should come up and make this one for yourself. Come on up. I've already grated it for you, so it will make it a lot easier for you to do.
I need a big one because it's going on my hip.
Okay. Would this be as big as you want it? We can spread it out.
Pretty big hip.
Okay. So we've already grated the ginger, which makes it easier. And just going to use this. We're just going to spread it out thin on here. This, all right, just keep it about here. And that should do it. Just keep spreading it. My sister had a swelling in her knee, and I told her to do this, but she didn't. So when I got there, I decided I will do it for her. And we did this, and we also did a potato one, but we also did the ginger. And she used it, and the next morning she was able to walk a lot better just by using this. Yes. So, yes, good. You're good. Bring this over a little bit more. Yeah, right. So, and then, yeah. Would that be big enough for your hip?
My hip will sing hallelujah.
And so it's nice. It's not too drippy, but if it was, then you would actually squeeze out some of the juice out of it, and you just apply it. Again, you apply it with some saran wrap. We can have this ready for you. I think we have, it's just probably a little bit too wet. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have this ready for you when you're done. And so my sister, as I was saying to you, she actually had this big swelling on her knee, and when she came down that morning just limping. And when I did the poultice for her, and she went back, went to sleep, and got up in the morning, she was able to walk on this pretty well. We also did a potato poultice, which we're going to do in a minute, and it actually drew out the smell that was in that potato when I changed it. It was just like, it was just obnoxious. So it pulled out whatever pus or whatever inflammation was in there and cleared it up, and so she was able to walk on it a lot better. So you just grate the ginger, right? Nice grater. We use the side of the grater. And like I said, you squeeze out the juice if it's too much, and then you make a poultice. You put a piece of saran wrap on it, and then you put another bandage over it, and that would actually help. You may have to use it a few times, but consistency, it will actually work. The studies are showing now that it is very good for cancer. And among other things, I had a few things that I had, but I guess I didn't save it. The nice thing about it is that if you apply it to an area that needs it, and even if the ginger is touching areas around, it will not bother, it will not burn or cause any problem. Only the area that is inflamed, that needs it will affect. So that is very good, and it will actually help to relax the body as well, the area as well. Now, if you want to make a cup of ginger tea, the best way is to just use a teaspoon of just ginger, fresh ginger, grate it, some hot water, just put some hot water on it, let it sit for 10-15 minutes, and you have the best ginger tea in the world. Put a little honey in there if you want it, and that would do the trick. Great. And for the potato, we're going to make a potato poultice. This is the one I was just saying. It is very alkaline, it's very powerful, and whenever you have an area where it's red, it's raised, it looks kind of angry, you just take this, we're going to grate it. Let's do it this way. See, all my little kerchiefs are coming in handy. Yep. Again, you're going to be becoming very proficient at making poultices after this. You want the area to be nice and wet so that this is the area that will be on the skin. And you just apply it again with some saran wrap, put it in place, and you can leave it on overnight. and you would change it as often as you need to change it. In the morning you get up, you change it, put another one on. In the evening before you go to bed, you put another one on. It is very alkaline, it is very cooling, and it draws heat out of and through the skin. Very, very good. Also, the potato has very high in potassium and phosphorus, and it goes into the skin and helps with the healing process. This is why it is so good. The pulp is acidic, and it is decongesting. It is also soothing, and it's also anti-irritating. So it's very good natural remedy that you can use at home for any of those problems that we've just mentioned. If you have a headache, you can actually take a potato and cut the potato. I'm just going to use a little piece of this. Cut the potato like this, and you can actually just apply it to your temple. Just like this. And this would actually help to alleviate your headache. If you put too much salt in your food, do you know that you can put potato to take the salt out? Did you know that? Some people did. Some people did. It's also a good anti-aging remedy for the ladies. You can take the juice of the potato and just wash your face with it. It takes wrinkles out. Is that good to know? Okay. Now, you know, sometimes you look at some potatoes and they're green. It has something in it called solanine, and it is poisonous. So if your potatoes are beginning to get green, you really should throw them out and not use them. Yes. Now, we don't have any of aloe here, but how many of you have used aloes? But, oh, you have been getting some in your juice, your water in the mornings. It is a phenomenal plant. It can be used, and it has been used for many things, especially burns. I got burned with in the kitchen not too long ago, and I cannot even find the spot that I got burned. If you, soon as you get burned, you apply this, just cut the plant and just lather the whole thing frequently. As it dries out, you just keep putting some aloe on it over and over again. It dries without any problem. If you ever look at an aloe, you will notice that if you cut it, it mends itself back together. Have you seen that? The ends just kind of closes up to back together. So it does the same thing to our bodies when we apply it. It cleans up whatever it is that is on our skin, for instance, burns and things like that, and it's worked wonders. A story that a gentleman told me, he said he had third-degree burn, and he was an hour away from getting to the hospital, and all he had was just the aloe, and that's what he put on his skin. And then he went to the hospital, and when he got there, the doctor says this is what saved him. His skin was healed without any scars for getting the third-degree burn. So it's very good. It's very good for ulcers. It's good for Crohn's disease, for irritable bowels. It's good for digestion. It actually helps to relieve joint pains. And when you take it with vitamin C or vitamin E, it enhances the absorption. And it helps with cholesterol, as well as it helps to stabilize blood sugar. And very good for inflammation. It is one of the finest body cleansers, and it gives the most gratifying results. For instance, if a person has constipation, aloe taken in enough amounts will actually loosen the bowels. It will actually clean the inside. You know how I think of Drano, how you throw Drano in a bowl, toilet bowl. It actually goes into the creases and crevices and just cleans out the debris. So it's wonderful. It cleans out the morbid matter from the stomach, from the liver, from the kidneys, the liver, the spleen, the bladder. It's one of the best colon cleanse known. It is bitter, as you probably have found out, but it works wonders. And I always say anything that's bitter is good for the liver, right? It's also good for if you have a cut, that you can do the same thing. Just put it, apply it on there, and it would actually help to close the wound up. So we don't have any, but it's very good for that purpose. Okay. You can also drink this, like 1 tablespoon of aloe vera in a pint of water. You can simply slice the leaf of the aloe vera and just put it in your water and set it in the fridge, and you just drink that water as you need it. Actually cleanses and also would help with your bowels a lot. And you probably know that when they were preparing Jesus' body for burial, this is one of the things that they used, aloes, because it has that effect on it. Another thing that you can use for burns is lavender. If you have lavender oil at home and you got burned, you can actually just saturate the skin with lavender oil. It will help. This is one of the guests told me that the last time that I was here, that they were here. Now, another very great in the home natural remedy we have is, guess what? Cayenne. You know, anything that cayenne touches, it increases and improves the circulation. It can be taken internally. It actually helps to thin the blood, and it also strengthens the arterial walls, and it opens up the capillaries. As I told you, I had a cut today, and I was quickly going to put a Band-Aid on it, and there were some people who just wanted to see my reaction to the cayenne pepper. So they said, why don't you just put some cayenne pepper on it? I said, it's not your finger, it's mine. So it started to bleed, and as soon as I put the cayenne, it just stopped the bleeding. And this is the second time I have used cayenne on a cut. You see, it hurts a little to start with because you have that cut. But once you put this on, it hurts a little bit more. I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt or burn a little, but it stops the bleeding. There are people who have been resuscitated after they've had a stroke or a heart attack just by using cayenne under the tongue or in the mouth. And they revived from using it. Barbara will give you a story about that. She actually revived someone just by using cayenne pepper. So it is phenomenal. Wherever cayenne goes, circulation improves. It will bring fresh blood to the area. For instance, if you were doing a hydrotherapy on a person who has neuropathy in their feet, like a diabetic, it would be hard to do, but if you have cayenne pepper, you can use cayenne pepper to make a wrap for them. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. We are going to put, just like we did before, but we're going to use a little bit of olive oil. So we are going to just sprinkle a little bit of oil on a piece of cloth. And the reason for the oil is so that the cayenne will stick when you do it. So let's say that's what we're doing there. And then we just take the cayenne and we sprinkle the cayenne on this piece of cloth. Again, we're going to make a wrap. Oops. Now for the person who is diabetic, this can bring circulation back to the extremities. You apply this, see, it's the cayenne has stuck to the oil, and you wrap the person's feet in this, and you put some saran wrap again around it, and the person can go around with this, walking around for the day. If it gets too hot, because it's pepper, they can take it off. But they can actually, I would not sleep with it at night because it will keep you awake. So you can actually, they can walk around with this all day, and it would improve the circulation. Barbara was giving us a story about a lady that came to her lifestyle center, and she had no feeling in the lower extremities. And they applied this for the 2 weeks that she was there, and the feeling began to come back. She started having pins and needles in the feet. And then 6 months later, she got a call from this lady. She said, "You would not believe it. I've got almost full circulation and full feeling back in my feet just by using the Cayenne." So where you cannot use saran wrap, where you cannot use hydrotherapy, which is hot and cold, because it's difficult for them to be able to tell you when the water is hot or when it's cold. And if you're doing that, you always need to have a thermometer. But you can easily put this on the feet, because it's going to help the circulation and improve it tremendously. So, okay. If a person has hypo, which is low thyroid, they can actually take a poultice and put it around the neck. This poultice can just go around the neck. Put a piece of saran wrap, it will actually jumpstart the thyroid. If a person has hyper, which is high thyroidism, hypothyroidism, they can use ice, just to rub ice on the area, and that would begin to lower the system. For headache, you can use cayenne pepper and ginger. Just put a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne with a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. Add some water to that, and you can drink that. It would help to alleviate headache. I suffer with cluster headaches, and the headaches come like in just, jolts, parts of my head. And as soon as I feel like I'm having a headache, I just go to the cayenne pepper. And I put the cayenne pepper in the water, and I drink it. Within 15-20 minutes, it alleviates the headache completely. And sometimes it never comes back, but sometimes it does come back again. I think you have this recipe, how to make a salve, and it is just by using cayenne pepper, peppermint oil, camphor oil, and coconut butter, and that will help for people who have any kind of arthritic pain or any type of inflammation. It's really good for that. Now, there are different heat units of cayenne pepper. You can have the one that we have on the table. I believe this is 90,000 heat units, but it goes up to 550,000 heat units. So you know that's really hot. You would get that in India or Africa, those high ratios. But so you have to know which one you're using and how much, even when you putting it on your food, how much you really should add on there. For cataracts, you can actually use lemon juice, 1 drop of lemon juice in the eye in the morning. Have anyone tried that before? No? But it will take a while. It's not going to be an overnight fix. But 1 drop of lemon juice in the eye in the morning, and 1 drop of castor oil at night before you go to bed. And it would help to dissolve the cataract in the eye. I'm trying it. I have cataract myself, and I'm trying it, but I'm not as consistent every night of doing it, but I want to see the results so I can talk about it.
Does it sting?
The lemon juice, yes, you see stars. But then after that feeling goes, you actually see clearer. It really is good. We can try everyone with it in the morning. Okay. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is, I'm not going to probably do this, but you can do a castor oil poultice, basically the same. What you do with the castor oil poultice is you get a nice piece of thick cloth. You're going to have to do layers of it because you're not going to make it this thin. But you do layers and layers of this. And the castor oil has a tendency to go deep into the skin, deep down into the tissues. So you do a thick layer. It's about 3 times the depth, the width of this, or the thickness of this. And you're going to put the castor oil on this, and again, put it, just drizzle it back and forth, let it get really saturated, and then you put the saran wrap over this, and you can go to bed with this. You can use this poultice for cancer. You can use it for fibroids, person who has fibroids, even a person who is constipated. You can use the charcoal poultice, the castor oil poultice. So it goes deep into the tissue, into the body, and it actually helps to alleviate the problems. Okay. There's only one other thing that I wanted to mention. You know, we have a tendency to use a lot of chemicals in our homes. And I have found that this is something that I made up. The base of it is alcohol. And the rest of it is cinnamon oil, citronella oil, lavender oil, lemon oil, and orange oil. And the combination together, this is what I clean my surfaces with, as opposed to all the other sprays that you spray in the house that lets out a lot of different toxins. This is very clean. And if you were to just smell it, see. Oh, it smells so good. Let me just let you, just put your hand and let me just give you a little whiff. But the alcohol goes. Now the alcohol goes after it dries. The alcohol goes. It doesn't smell. But the essential oil is there, and you can use any type of oils that you really want. I have all of these, and they're going old on me, the oils. So I just decided I will use them for this purpose. So these are things because our homes are becoming very toxic. We have so many things that we use in our homes that are really creating some of the problems that we have. So if we can learn to make some things like this to do our cleaning surface, and the alcohol is a great cleanser, and it's great for doing things like that.
Is that rubbing alcohol?
That is rubbing alcohol, yes.
What's the ratio for a bottle that size?
I use I'm not sure what, I think it's 16 ounces, and I just add the essential oils in it, and it just made that up.
Like how many drops of essential?
I was generous. I did about a teaspoon. Yeah, some of them have a teaspoon. Like the ones I said that are getting old, my essential oils that are getting old, I just opened the bottle and poured it in. And so, yes.
Do you have the measurement or the recipe for that, or it's right on the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the essential oils that I used. Oh, there's one other thing. For a headache. I'm sorry. We don't have a sock. I forgot my sock. But if you have a headache, you can put these tennis balls in a sock, put it behind your neck like this, put it where you're actually going to put some pressure, and you lay on this for about 10 to 15 minutes. This would also help to alleviate a headache. Very simple.
What's the science behind that?
It stops with the nerve, actually, that is the area that's causing the headache. If you put pressure on it, you actually stop the signal from getting from getting to your head. And so it will actually, it's like you're cutting off a blood supply, basically. And it just heals this, the headache just goes. Yeah. So, any questions?
Can we see the Aloe product you're using in our lemon juice? Is it a product or is it the plant you're blending up?
We used the plant initially. I was experimenting, and I dehydrated the, you know where it is? It's in the little bottle, the dehydrated. So I dehydrated because I looked online and I realized that they sell the powder. So I dehydrated mine, and then I powdered it. And now I use about a teaspoon to a cup of water, and it gets really strong. And then we use that water for your...
You say you powdered it. What is that process?
In a blender.
Just in a blender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love to experiment with things, and when I see things, thank you.
So that's the low power.
I can let you have a look at it.
Oh, interesting.
In this way, when we have extras, I just smell it and I'm already tasting it. When we have extras, instead of throwing it out, we can just dry it and powder it, and it would last for a very long time.
I have another question also.
Mm-hmm.
When you said to boil the onions, what was it used for?
What is it?
Boiled onions.
You can use it for an earache, for a toothache, for a headache. You can use it for if you have a boil and you want to bring it to a head, you can use it for that purpose.
Okay, so the sliced raw onions is not used for that.
Well, you can use it for that as well, but the one that you heat up, you can actually use that because it would bring it, with the heat that it has in it, it kind of brings things to a head a lot faster. But yes, you can. Yeah.
And the 4 cloves of garlic per day is used for, it helps with the immune system or something else?
It would help. The thing is, you can use the garlic any time. But if you're taking it, let's say you have something that you needed antibiotic for, that's when you would use the 4 cloves of garlic in place of the antibiotic for like 3 days. And then you don't have to use it anymore. And it also would help the immune system.
Is the garlic just as effective after it's roasted as it is raw?
No, you would lose some of the potency of it, but you will still have some of it. You're not going to lose all of it.
Right.
Raw is always better because all the enzymes are in it. When you cook it or bake it or roast it, you lose some of the enzymes. But it is still very good either way.
When you say the 4 cloves, it's just one of the cloves or 4 cloves?
4 cloves, like
4
1, 2, 3, 4.
Every time for 4 in the day?
Well, every day for 3 days, because you're basically saturating yourself with garlic is considered an antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, so it's good for just about anything.
And how do they take those? Like, you just swallow?
No, you can cook it. You can cook it. You can cook it because not many people can handle garlic like that. My sister, she smells like garlic. She uses garlic a lot. She had cancer, and I believe that's one of the preserving things that kept her body going. And so she uses it all the time. But she uses it raw, cooked, in her juice. She does the same thing.
Yeah.
Just uses it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very good. You can actually use the garlic, roast the garlic and put a little bit of olive oil on it and use that as a spread instead of using butter. You can do that, yes.
What do you do for high blood pressure?
Garlic.
Garlic.
Very good for high blood pressure. It would take the blood pressure down. But of course, I always say you have to incorporate the 8 laws of health,
Right.
not just the garlic.
Yes.
So you have to drink your water, you have to exercise, you have to eat healthier, you have to eat better, decrease your salt. The type of salt that we mostly use, we use the Celtic sea salt, which has 87 minerals. And the Himalayan has about 60 minerals. The regular salt that you buy in the store only has 3.
Wow.
Sodium chloride and iodine. So you're looking at 3 versus 87.
I
So
heard when you open the box, the iodine
Evaporates?
Yeah, it goes out in the atmosphere.
Oh, really?
So-
But you see, the Celtic sea salt has trace minerals in the right quantities.
Right.
No one's added it in, it's there. So, can't improve on that, yes.
On the potatoes for headache, I just take them and hold them on my...
You just hold it at the temple for about 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
And you may have to repeat it again. You may have to repeat it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.